Okay, we are nearing the end of our event, but we wanted to give our audience an opportunity to interact with these amazing speakers a little bit. So I would like to now invite Carrie, Patty, and Zeahlot back up to the stage for a little Q&A. And we will also have the famous catch box that the center provides. So you can ask the question. Elizabeth is happy to circulate that around the crowd as well. But we look forward to hearing your thoughts. Thanks, ladies. I'm happy to kick things off too. It's always fun to hear our speakers interacting with one another though, and that's something that Momentum very purposely creates as part of this experience. We've had the pleasure of dining with one another. That's also key to the Momentum experience. It's part of our mentoring program. We have these small group dinners. It's pretty amazing, some of the conversations that come out of that. So I might just turn it to you ladies first to see how you've inspired each other and what are some takeaways that you have from your time together.
I'm just always inspired. I read Carrie's book, and I read it twice, and it really helped me not only cultivate more of the woman that I am becoming and leading other women, but my presentation. Because it was so funny, but I was reading your book, and I was like, this woman knows a lot. She knows a lot, and I love that I'm inspired, and I love books. I've always loved those. So, Carrie, thank you. Thank you for writing that book and having the courage to do it. Oh, and Patty, man, I remember learning that you had climbed Mount Everest, and I was like, whoa, I had no idea that women that were same models, right, different series, could do that, because I've always been in this small, tiny body, and when I go to the grocery store and I'm reaching for that, I'm like, oh, I can't reach it. I feel some kind of way. The world has always been bigger than I am. And then you come into my life and show me, no, honey, anything's possible. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I am really overwhelmed with how much our messages seem to resonate and echo and intersect one another. And some of the themes that have come through with connecting to a world community and generationally, and just thinking about the power of that energy, which is sometimes hard to describe, and I'm not often in spaces where those conversations are happening. So I think both of you for those conversations and your individual approach to what seems to be very common interests.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Well, for me, I love it. I love the possibility to meet the two of you here. I learn a lot. I enjoy to write in notebook. I realize a couple of things about myself, about my history, about you, Zila. It's incredible. It's incredible. The small details, like yesterday where we sharing how to take picture, with the best way to take picture, things like that, because I'm super bad with the iPhone or with the phone in general, so small details. I was not very well with my stomach when I arrived here. You give me some tips also. So to one more time realize that we have so many things in common. We can live and rise in different parts of the country or the world if we have so many things in common. So I really enjoy this day with you.
Thank you. Carrie, I loved your exercise about what we were going to discard and throw away and what we were going to ask for in life. So I would just ask you ladies the question, what are you asking for? And I'm happy to share. Mine is recognition. You know, it's nice to actually work hard and say, I deserve to be recognized for this. And that doesn't have to be an egotistical thing. So I'm curious for each of you, if you could say one thing you're asking for in this moment, what is that?
In that moment, I said empathy, but I think it's not really empathy. In that moment, when I don't know what doesn't mean empathy, but I think what I'm really looking for, because I think I have empathy. So what I'm really looking for, I think is, how can I say, more community. I don't know if you understand, to spend more time with people, not too much work, it's just to have nice conversation, more community, to create more community around me. That's what I'm looking for, more than empathy.
I would always say it's connection. When we find it, it's so delicious. Is sometimes I ask myself, how did I get so lucky to connect with this person and hear this exact message at this time? So it's always been connection, and I always look for it. And I'm grateful when I have it.
Earlier I said respect, and that's kind of a general, but I think today, listening, and listening to a point of understanding.
To clarify, Carrie, does that mean you want to be heard, or you're trying to cultivate listening yourself?
Both. Deeper listening on my end, but also asking for deeper listening and the opportunity to be listened to. Yeah.
And just to validate too, when I was holding one of the bends out there, I heard respect a lot. And I'm like, oh, that's why there's a song, R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I love that women are asking for that. Well, I think it would be fun to turn the questions to the audience, and hopefully our catch box is out there. So if you would boldly raise your hand, do your power move, and ask your question, we would love to hear our speakers' responses.
I just want to thank all three of you, actually everyone that's here, for a fantastic day. So you were talking about, Z, you were talking about asking the best questions. And I know meditation, it's like a muscle, and I'm assuming that there's a technique or some way to dive in and get real and ask better questions. So I'd just like for you to share how to go about asking those better questions.
Thank you so much for that question. Here's what I've learned in the decade that I've meditated. It's different for everyone. My body has actually given me more questions and answers than this or this. And there's the logical, then there's the felt, like Carrie was explaining earlier, the visceral values that we have. When you're quiet enough, you'll get to hear the whispers that if you don't listen to it whisper, it will become a scream. And that comes from native wisdom. There is a saying that says if you don't hear the whispers, they will become screams. So my answer is just listen, and then you'll hear it. You'll hear the questions and the answers.
Shout out to Andy for asking the question about how to ask better questions. Well played. Anyone else? In the back.
Sorry, mine was like for Patty yesterday, but I did not get the chance to ask her. You did something extraordinary, and sometimes people have to leave something or someone behind. What did you leave behind, and how did you overcome that?
Time with my family. That was the hard part to leave behind. That is your question, if I understand well. But that's the reason maybe now I spending a lot of time with my family. I really appreciate my family support me. I disappeared because they understood that was my mission Oh, I was happy to doing that. That is super important for me, to feel that my family support me and understood that I need to go outside and live my own life. Now I'm back. I'm super, super happy to have that opportunity, but it was hard at the beginning.
I have a question for Carrie. What are the tools that you use to train intuition?
Oh,
It's a good one.
yeah, very. I think meditation is a fantastic tool. I think journaling is a fantastic tool. There are lots of different options out there depending on your personality for getting into touch, because also going for a hike in the woods or a mountain, spending time with yourself. But I think probably for me, the basis of that is figuring out a way to turn off the outside voices, even if you want to return to them later, but to really figure out what is coming from you and what has been coming from outside sources. And some of that takes actually trying to trace back, I believe this, okay, well, where is that coming from? What is the source of that information, whether it's from generational teachings or cultural or societal, and then spending enough time with yourself that you are in touch with your body, because I do believe, I think all of us here believe that your body sends you signals. It can keep you out of danger, right? When you are in a situation of extremes, safety precautions, heart and mind precautions. So yeah, that would be my answer, to try to really put yourself in a place, in a state of mind where you can kind of quiet that outside influence.
I have a question. I love Z's story about the woman that you met in the airport and her describing Jackson as wild. So tell me, each of you fabulous speakers, what does being wild mean to you?
I'm in my underwear. I'm by myself, bra and panties, and I'm snacking on probably what I shouldn't. And I'm watching the show I probably shouldn't, because I have 20 million other things to complete, not to finish, to complete. And I just feel wild doing that. And my hair's a mess. I'm not wearing any makeup. I don't know. I just feel like I'm ready to run through the forest, but I'm running through my living room. That's wild to me. Yeah. Modern wild.
So I actually talk a little bit about wild in Origin Story, because Glennon Doyle's book Untamed really inspired me. I listened to it during the pandemic when I was locked in my apartment for 7 weeks in Madrid. And so when I hear wild, I think of the cheetah and the dirty pink bunny. And if you haven't read it, I suggest it's in the opening of her book that you take a listen, because that wild of being young and uninhibited and in a convertible driving wherever, and the wind going through your hair, and then learning somewhere along the way that that's not ladylike, or it's not appropriate, or that, convertibles are dangerous. Yeah, I'm in the process of reclaiming that, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know if I understand why I translate in Spanish, so I'm not 100% sure, but what I understand for wild, for me, is somebody who breaking rules, you follow your heart. That's my feeling about wild follow your heart. That's it.
Getting back to nature.
Yes.
Wild is our birthright, right? Any other questions from the audience? Yes, I see one in the back there.
Wild. I was wondering how you pick yourself back up after a big obstacle or setback, like a big injury right before you're going on a mountaineering expedition, or maybe you give a presentation that's a flop. I can't imagine that actually happening, but I can't imagine. I mean, my biggest setbacks have been physical for the most part, but I know there's a lot of emotional setbacks. How do you pick yourself back up?
That question is just for me.
Is that for everyone?
Yeah.
Open question.
No, please.
For me, it's not so much of how I pick myself back up, but how many times I pick myself back up. Yeah, I remember hearing the ancient proverb that's Chinese. It says, fall 7, get back up 8. And I was like, whoa, so the ratio is just get back up more than I fall? And I'm like, okay, I got it. Yeah. How?
How do you get back out there? Like sometimes after something terrible happens in the world or in the community or personally, and I just want to stay home for a week. Like, how do you get back out there?
Personally, when I've had soul-crushing moments in my life, and I've had a good amount of them, hence the growth that Source is giving me, it's literally been asking myself, is this happening to me or for me? It's the mindset, number 1. And then 2, giving myself the space and the capacity to actually feel what I'm feeling. And then once I feel it, I can make sense of it to my own self. So more so, it's aligning my chakras. So I start here first in the logical, then I move into my heart, and then it's like I was explaining to one of the women today earlier, then I can have a full cycle. And when I have a full cycle, then I'm like, all right, I can own my story. Nobody can drag me through it. And I show the world I got back up. That's my process.
I think for me, self-care really comes into play in figuring out and knowing yourself and allowing yourself that grieving process, because we have expectations. And then understanding, I think the more clear you can be about that purpose or that why or that community, trying to take the focus off of yourself and onto the audience, the problem that you're trying to solve, the why that you have, that you know is greater than your individual pain or suffering in that moment. Because for me, it usually comes back to there are other reasons why I need to keep going, whether it's my children or thinking about helping other people, changing hearts and minds with storytelling, but that focus on the greater purpose is very helpful to me.
Yeah, me too. I think in general I'm a very positive person, so I focus in things I can do, in things I can change, not in things I can not do anything. Because if I focus in the other one, there's nothing too much I can do, so I prefer to focus in the thing I can do if I keep going in that direction. That's what I do normally.
Guys.
Good catch.
Now we're getting wild.
Thank you to all of you.
My question is for everyone and has to do with authenticity. I think all three of you ladies are very unique, and it was very clear to see how you found authenticity, and it really has guided you in your lives, right? And I'm curious if you can share a bit more about finding that authenticity, staying true to that authenticity amongst, expectations of other people, yourself, society, and how to stay true to that authenticity.
Wow. Okay. I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know if I think I have been all my life like me. Just maybe I learned very early just to be myself. I don't know how to explain how to do it, because I think I learned that very early in my life. Maybe because I saw so many people, maybe how I mentioned yesterday, because I start to climb mountain, I can see after 2, 3, 4 days, everybody cannot keep going with phases, everything change, everything fall apart. Maybe I learned very early to be just myself. Yeah, so I have been myself. Like I'm here now talking with you, I'm everywhere. So I don't know how to teach how to do that. I don't know if you understand. Sorry, it's difficult for me, that question, because I think I have been all my life myself. I don't pay too much attention what people expect about me. It's what I want to be. That's what I hear myself.
I think for me, I've had a couple of conversations recently about integrity. And it comes, what I realized is that if I'm clear about my values and my boundaries, then I am less conflicted about being my own authentic self. And that prevents me from then having conflicts or feeling bad or making decisions that I regret in the future, because I've clarified that. And I know in order to feel good about my actions, I need to kind of stick to that plan and not be influenced too much by some kind of arbitrary rules that have been made up and not re-examined or interrogated in decades or centuries, right? So, yeah.
This is what hit me the most. One of my favorite authors is Don Miguel Ruiz, and he's the author of The 4 Agreements. And there's this other really amazing book he wrote called The Mastery of Love. And there's a chapter in the book, The Mastery of Love, and it talks about domestication. And I remember reading it, and it was like an epiphany where I was like, whoa, that's exactly what I felt, but I didn't know how to say, so kudos, thank you, he said it already. And what he said in the book was the following. He said, imagine a world where it's not only animals that are domesticated, but humans. And I was like, what does he mean? Then he gives an example of a little girl that starts to sing, and her mother says, quiet, 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 that's not good singing. And then she becomes domesticated, and she gets the program inserted. Here's how you need to be here in this space with these people that love you. And I remember feeling like that little girl in that very moment in the book. And I was like, whoa, those are all the things I've had to unlearn. And so my answer is I'm trying my darnest to be as authentic as I can, and the world keeps testing me. And that's the point. And that's why I laugh, because I could sit here and tell all of you ladies like, oh, I practice all that. Yes, I do, but every day I am tested more than I know. All I know is I know nothing. Yeah.
This question is for Z. A core value of mine is mental and emotional health. And what advice would you give to nurturing being a safe space and encouraging people to share with you, I guess?
The number one thing I have learned is if you want light, you got to be the light first. Mahatma Gandhi said it best. If you want to change the world, start with yourself first. And so every time I was met with an unsafe space, I had to ask myself first, what about this did I not like, and what am I contributing to this? And then if I caught myself saying, oh no, I'm not contributing anything, that's the problem, you're not speaking up for yourself in that moment. And so in me learning that and then acting it out and then becoming that role model, other people were like, whoa, that's what that feels like? Is that what you just did right now, that you held space? And I'm like, uh-huh. They're like, that's the difference between sympathy and empathy, feeling for versus feeling with. I was like, yes. And so my answer to that is, we're very blessed and we're very grateful when we have that experience, but I've learned that to cultivate it first will provide the pollen and the seeds so that others can see it and model it with me.
And how do you do that without oversharing, I guess? Or about sharing your experiences?
I think it's a good balance. It's also knowing when to go and when to stop. So it's becoming so attentive and in tune to where when someone speaks, it's so funny, but I actually listen for what they're not saying. So I listen for the whispers before they become screams. And it's a practice, it's a muscle like any other. Even when I'm in a conversation when I'm like, all right, okay, Grandma, like 40 minutes in, like let's change the tune here. I still need to ask myself, what is it important that she is sharing in this moment? Patience.
Thank you.
Okay, last call for questions. Is everybody ready? Oh, there we go.
Right in the middle. Do it.
She can do it. Be wild.
That was some teamwork.
Thank you all so much. So many great messages. And the question that has just been in my heart right now is for Z, and I'm curious about the meditation practice and what that looks like, morning, how long, is there a pattern? Just curious as I explore this for myself.
I'm not a runner, but my partner is, and so I've found similarities. When I first started, I could only do 5 minutes, and I'm like, okay, I'm done, I can't do this. And then I pushed myself a little bit, and then it was 10 minutes, and then 30 minutes, and then by the time I knew it, it was an hour. Here's what really pushed me. Unsolicited, but a gift from above, I met someone that told me, hey, do you know what a vipanatsa is? And I'm like, no. And they're like, it's where you sit for 10 days, and you don't eat anything, and you just sit with yourself. I was like, whoa. So then that took my meditation to a whole other level, and I'm sharing this with you because even after that experience, I still struggle. And so now what I do is I have to have the right mindset, and here's my standard, because the expectation's external and the standard's internal. Before I consume, I create. And I cannot create if I don't hear my voice first, so it's not imprinted by anything else. And so the first voice that comes in, it's when we're sleeping. It's the dream. And if we're not dreaming, it's what's not speaking there. So whatever I didn't dream comes out in meditation. So when I wake up, it's the first thing that I do. And I'll sit there, and a lot of times if I haven't gone to the bathroom or if my body's uncomfortable, it'll take a while to get into it. But once I do, it's literally like a faucet of water that turns on, and I get all kinds of things, wild things, normal things, forgot to turn off blank kitchen knob, but then I get $1 million ideas too. And so the answer is the discipline of doing it, number one, knowing why you're doing it, and just knowing that some days you're going to struggle and some days you're going to be the Olympic medalist of what you're doing. It's just, am I committed to this process of meeting myself deeper every day?
Thank you.
The quality of your questions, ladies.
The quality of the questions might be dictated by the time on Friday as well. So. Does anybody else have a burning question they would like to ask? our speakers. Okay, well, we can take that as a sign that we have done our job here today. Please join me in thanking all of these wonderful ladies for sharing their time with us.
Thank you.